Hey there, welcome to ATL and 29, a podcast that looks at the NBA from the starting point of Atlanta. My name is Kevin Chenard, and I'm here with Tyler Jones, and we are recording after a pair of summer league wins in Salt Lake City. The Hawks defeating Oklahoma City with the main squad, and the Memphis Grizzlies in a battle of B squads. Tyler, what'd you think of Kobe Johnson's Argentina jersey on the bench tonight?
No comment. Though it was a messy jersey, I get it. No.
Okay, fair enough, fair enough. Let let's let's go with what's fresh here. We got to see Henri Veesaar in a more prominent role tonight because Zuby, Ejiofor, and others weren't playing. Uh, what'd you think of how he did tonight?
I thought he was good overall. Um, Defensively, it felt like because he played more, he was able to adjust quicker. And like the biggest thing he did was he stopped jumping because he was jumping and taking himself out of position too early. Instead, he stayed more grounded and like I thought defensively that was probably his best game, particularly when he was in drop. Switch was, it's just bad technique more than anything else. I think it's a lack of confidence, a lack of experience switching out on the perimeter in an NBA setting. So he should be able to improve with that because physically, like he has everything he needs to be at least a decent switch NBA big. But overall, like I thought he was good overall. I wished only wish his teammates found him more on the perimeter when he's open on the 3 point line. It's just one of those things where it's like if he's open, you got to pass him the ball. You got to make defenders pay for not guarding a shooter as good as Henri Veesaar, which I think he's a pretty good shooter from the perimeter. But if you don't challenge the defense, then you're not punishing them. It makes your drives harder. It just makes everything harder than it has to be when you don't do that. So like that was a the small downside. But overall, I thought Veesaar was pretty good.
Yeah, I know you and I disagreed the other day when we were talking about the Jazz game, and I thought that Veesaar wasn't very good on defense in the second half, but like in this game, I thought he was really good in drop. He wasn't getting a lot of help in those situations too. Like McNeely and Ray J. Dennis, they were dying on the screen a lot of the times. And so he pretty much, had to fully contain two people because they weren't recovering very quickly. And I thought his, technique in getting to the right spot so that he could deal with both people was really, really good. I think it was a battle of the B squads, but I thought it was just a situation where he could play to his strengths too, because he might not see this a whole lot in the NBA, but like he wasn't going up against bigs that could space the floor, and he wasn't going up against bigs that were just going to brutalize him with physical strength down low. And so, you give him the opportunity to kind of linger around the rim a little bit, and he has pretty good instincts and obviously size. And, I was impressed with what he did in drop, and I just thought situationally it was a place where he could really thrive, and I thought he did. And offensively, like you mentioned the shooting, but like, he's such a good short roll passer. Like you completely
Yeah,
trust him in those situations. Like he, like I'm not there. I don't think there have been any times in any of the summer league appearances where it's been like, okay, pick and roll. He gets to 15, 16 feet, catches it there. He's redistributing. Has he ever made a wrong decision yet on any of those? And I don't think he has yet. I think every single time he's like made the right call on those. So, very, very impressive showing from Henry in that regard.
yeah, no, he's just good. Like offensively, like you have very little to worry about. It's
Yep.
just defensively, it's the lack of physical strength. I think we saw it a couple times on some rebounds and him losing balls, contested rebounds or whatever. Like it's difficult for him to maintain his position and then grab the ball. And it's easy to push him off the spots, but I thought overall he did compete pretty well. But yeah, like I mean, he's an interesting, I liked when at North Carolina, he kind of replicated what he did at North Carolina throughout his early summer league, setting up. He's a good basketball player. That's a good start. Now he's got to work on the auxiliary stuff to be a good NBA player because that's different. The NBA is such a massive jump in physicality, and like it really, you being a good or bad basketball player is irrelevant to like you got to be able to physically compete on the floor because if you can't, then you're just not an NBA player. So right now, he's got to get stronger, be tougher, and I think he'll get there eventually. But it's going to be he's more of a project than what people think just based on his offense because like offensively he's already there.
Exactly. If you can, if you're like a really good screener, a really good short roll passer, and you can make threes as a big, like asking for anything more than that is being kind of greedy almost. Because if you could do those things, you can function. He also is comfortable, if pick and roll, if they switch, like it's not necessarily his greatest strength, but like he's willing to do it. He got good hands, and so if you switch, he'll take that mismatch down in the post and at least make you compete. So, offensively he's set, and like you said, defensively it's just get stronger, get better, and
And then be
oh,
smarter overall. Like I think just don't chase blocks. It's more important to be in position to rebound the ball and just contest with your arms. Like he he doesn't have the greatest wingspan, but he has elite. He has pretty good standing reach. 9'3" is nothing to sniff at. That's
yep.
above average for a center. So he needs to trust his size that he does have. Even if he doesn't get the block, like it's very hard for offensive players to finish over him, even if he's standing still. So he needs to trust that more instead of jumping, because when he jumps, he's out of position, and it's too easy for the offensive team to score an easy layup. Like that's just the reality of NBA basketball in particular.
Is there anybody else in the game tonight that you want to talk about?
I thought Wong, he had a rough start to his first stint in the last game, but like after that, he's actually been pretty good. I've actually been more impressed with compared to the other guards. Like no disrespect to Ray J. Dennis and Gilbert, but like I think he in the non-Kingston division has been the best guard on the team, primarily because he's a much better shooter and he's actually has some nice craft finishing around the rim, which has been impressive to me. So like I'm kind of interested to see if he was a prospect. He was a worthy prospect a couple when he originally came out. So somebody keep an eye on going forward here. I was really impressed with him overall. I thought he was nails today in particular. Like just made the right decision with the ball in his hands, made quick decisions too. Got the ball up the floor quickly. I think that's something that both Gilbert and Ray J. Dennis struggled with was getting the ball up the floor against pressure. So like that's something that Wong didn't really bother him. With either he did it with a hit ahead pass or he did it himself. So like overall, I think he just made faster decisions that it led to the offense humming a bit more. And I'm interested to see if he can continue this play in summer in Vegas when the competition is going to be a little bit more intense, just based on it's just going to be more teams out there.
Yeah, it was like in that first game, it was like it's almost like he was fighting against his own athleticism a little bit. Like he was trying to play maybe a little bit faster than he was quite comfortable with. It always felt like he was a little bit over his own rails. And then in this second game, in addition to shooting well and just kind of managing and point guarding the right way, like he shows some craft finishing around the rim. It's almost like is he like a 2 foot jumper? It seems like he's like going off of 2 feet, or I don't know. He's definitely like loading up. Like he takes a little hitch and loads up, and like when he gets into those comfortable situations, like he's pretty good at that because he gets pretty high up and can finish over people. So Yeah, I agree. It was choppy to start, but huge improvement. And so if he ends up as, a College Park point guard at some point, that would be a pretty good situation for setting up his teammates because that's one of the most important roles, I think, is having a decent point guard running your team because if you don't have that, a lot gets lost in terms of developing players at other positions that you want to see succeed because they can't even get put into the right situations if you don't have that. All right, let's talk about the main course, which really would be the Oklahoma game yesterday. Kingston Fleming's looked really good. That's not an overstatement, right?
No, man, I, I don't know how to describe his game other than like this is how the elites play. Like, the way he's played these two games has just been, I mean, it's been special to me. Like, I understand like the scoring has not been there. And the 3-point attempts haven't been in there, but like literally everything else, he's been excellent to even borderline dominant. Like the deep, like I'll just put it this way: I watched Darren Peterson look like prime Michael Jordan against a pretty good Memphis Grizzlies summer league team. He didn't look like that against the Hawks, and I think part of the reason why he didn't look like that is because he wasn't as comfortable. Primarily because Kingston Fleming's hands are a problem for offensive players. They know if they have a bad handle or a bad dribble or they make the wrong read, he's going to get the ball. Zuby's going to get the ball. Like he puts real pressure on ball handlers on the ball, and then off the ball, he's kind of a menace. Like he's just, I mean, he's just everywhere on defense for especially for a perimeter player. Like it's pretty unique. And then offensively, like he doesn't turn, he makes the right reads, he makes the right decisions. He plays off the ball. I heard Quinn Snyder today on the broadcast, he was talking about how Kingston plays offense without the ball in his hands. Like he doesn't need the ball in his hands to be a positive contributor. Primary example is Asa Newell got going in large part because Kingston Fleming started down screening for him. Like he started just screening and popping for open 3 points and giving Asa good driving lanes. And all of a sudden Asa started showing what he could do with the ball in his hands. And like that's not really an element the Hawks have had in that's not an element they had really in the Trae Young era. Trae would do it some, but it was more to get the ball back, right? Trae would screen to get the ball. Kingston's screening because it's the right play. And like he's setting good screens, physical screens, uh, because he's a lot stronger than he looks. Like and I hopefully like it's so funny. Like the small guard thing is going to die pretty quickly here with him, just because he doesn't play like a small guard. And so it's not really a concern. So, but like just the level of physicality he plays with both ends has been pretty impressive. He had a you know he challenged Adai Morrow at the rim and like knocked him back. He didn't make the layup, but he knocked him back and was in position to get the ball to score again. With Morrow just being completely out of the picture, like this is he's got stuff to work on offensively as a scorer. He needs to look for his pull up 3 pointers a lot more. Like he's just giving away. I think he's giving away too many. He's letting the defense off the hook by how he's not probing for that. Like, but that's something that can be developed. Like you can develop a step back. You can develop a sidestep 3 pointer. I don't think he just does not. He either doesn't have it or is not comfortable in the flow of the basketball game taking one. That's something he's going to have to really work on and get better at. But like overall, like I mean, what is there really to like be critical about him? Like he's been incredible. Like when he's on the floor, the Hawks have been dominant, and like in large part because he's a two-way player, and like you're seeing the real value, especially in today's NBA when you're good on both ends of the floor. That's you're just a special player, and I think he has a chance to be a really special player in this league.
Yeah, and I would add that I think one of the ways in which he's special, like you mentioned, is hands on defense. But I would add like when teams are trying to screen him, they're trying to run pick and roll on him, and he has to go over because that's what the situation calls for. He closes like when he has to go over a screen. If you first of all, if you know a lot of times he just makes the screener miss. Like, but if there actually is contact, his recovery to the ball once he gets hit is incredible. Like it's like if you put it like in terms of like percentile of NBA players, like I feel like it's at least 90th percentile. Like it's that good how quickly he recovers after the contact of the screen to go get back to challenge the ball handler and let his big recover, to his play. Like in contrast to what we saw tonight, like it was completely night and day. They were dying on screens, whereas Kingston the
Yep.
game before, he's taking that bump and snap, and it's like I feel like I'm watching like a smaller version of Dyson Daniels just coming back relentlessly every time. And that's that's so much of the NBA. Like if you don't have that from the guys that are going to be primary defenders, you just unless you've got an unbelievable rim protector, you're just cooked in a lot of situations. And so for the Hawks to have another guy like that, I think is just gonna come back to reward them in spades. Like it's just so good.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want the Dyson Daniels comp. I think is appropriate. Like just the relentlessness that Kingston plays with on the defensive side of the floor. I again, you know, he does have to get stronger, but even in spite of the strength concerns, like he doesn't let that bother him. He does not let not being strong enough, like oh, I'm going to give up on the play. He doesn't give up on plays. Like he's a genuine competitor. Like he competes every possession. He wants to win every possession on both ends, and that's the type of player that often, more than not, becomes one of the elites in this game. Like just full stop, like just truly elite. And you talk about his recovery speed. I mean, it goes to his elite athleticism. He's a genuinely elite athlete, combined with he has an elite mindset of I don't want to lose. And you saw it really in both games that he played in Utah. And I fully suspect you're going to see it carry over in Vegas as well. It's just like the the one he wants to be great, but he also wants to win, like wanting to win, like truly wants to win, like not PR speak want to win, not like I want to generate highlights. Like no, I play this sport to win basketball games. Like I want to win, and through that I will be great playing that way. And so like it's he has I think he has great head on his shoulders, great mindset. I mean, to like he's on a like he's made good money considering NIL now and all, but like to give like his teammates Beats headphones, like complete like I know it's a random aside, but like he didn't have to do that. These are all professional athletes who make good money, whether here or overseas. At least uh some of them do. Some of them don't. Some of them are, regular 9 to 5ers who are just looking for an opportunity. But like to do something small like that speaks volumes to me. Like a lot of these guys are not going to be on the team, or they're not even going to be in College Park, next season. But to do that to like truly strangers who will not, he will probably never. He, he might be in touch with them, but he's probably not going to play with them again after this run in summer league. That that says a lot to me. Like that I don't know, Kevin. You've been covering NBA for a while, a lot longer than I've been watching. But like I've never heard of that from any rookie. 19-year-old doing that. That's some other than maybe Dame did that as a rookie, but I didn't hear I didn't hear stories about that. But like that's Dame Lillard type leadership stuff. I know it's not the biggest thing in the world, but man, you know it's hard to dismiss the intangibles with stuff like that when we saw it in action this past season with the Hawks. Like just just like the stuff that CJ McCollum brought to that locker room mattered more than what we realized. Uh, and so Kingston, like I think he's going to be great for the Hawks coach has already been on the up and up, and I think he's going to get even better. Adding somebody like Kingston to the room, just uh, from everything I'm hearing and seeing from him.
We got to on the press conference day, we got to, just kind of shoot the breeze with his parents a little bit, and they're both very nice people. But you probably saw his dad on the broadcast, right? And they, how do you, I think the question was, how do you help your
Raised,
children reach, your goals or something like that? And he very clearly redirected it. And it's like, well, the first thing you got to do is like, you got to listen. You have to ask your kids what it is that they want. And
yeah,
then once you know that, you can help them. And it's like, just, I don't know. It's like, I
yeah,
watch
yeah,
the draft broadcasts, and most of the time it's just drivel and nonsense. And I was just kind of like, it just kind of made my ears perk up. And it's like, ooh, finally somebody said something that like you want to take it to heart. And it's like, oh wow, that's a big moment for an otherwise very unremarkable draft broadcast, just to hear somebody with that solid of a mindset. And you can tell like he's going to be a good leader. It's not hard to see.
yeah. And um, again, like offensively, he does need to just take 3 pointers without hesitation. But I feel like that's something the Quinn system kind of forces you to do that, for better or worse. I think if he's playing alongside, better teammates, better players, because this probably not like I can understand his hesitancy somewhat in this environment to take as many threes as he can just because he wants to get the other guys in better rhythm. But like for him to reach his full potential, like he's got to be a bomber from three. Just because it'll open his drives a lot. It'll make his rim finishing a lot better, in particular, if he's a genuine threat to take a pull up 3 pointer. Like that's just something you have to have in this league. Uh, if you want to be a true tier one superstar, like, and I think he has the talent to do that. It's just more about working the mindset of a young player. Like, hey, you see, like they're conceding the step back. Take it, take it every time. Be on balance. But that's going to be a multi-year process. He's not going to do that in his rookie year, but I can't see him in the future when he makes his leaps. Like, there's no reason why he can't get to that level.
In the Oklahoma City game, we saw him use screen after screen after screen, and with a quick first step and a probing dribble, and then oftentimes he would kind of swerve back and snake the screen and get back into the middle. And Oklahoma City had a lot of long defenders, including a Daimara, and so there were situations where it was just on him to deal with the big on a switch, and he'd pull up for a lot of 14 footers where it was just smooth, and he was taking really good shots in that regard. And you just mentioned one thing about how the development of a more free-flowing three-point mindset, adding a step back, things like that would help him finish at the rim. Is there anything else that you think can help him finish when he gets into the paint close to the rim against some of these bigger defenders?
Mix up the timing, probably. I think uh, he's too one speed. Like he could stand for a slower, like play with more pace, maybe potentially, or less pace, where it's like instead of just getting to the rim and like max efforting these layups, he kind of plays it. But that's probably more that's a lack of strength issue, I think, more than anything else. That's why he goes to these speed finish shooter like speed layups, which not to say that he can't finish consistently doing that. It's just harder than if you're more under control, um, um, and, and and just overall just playing with a little bit more craft, using his left hand a little bit more here. I think in the second game, I think he was more intentional using his left. Um, and I think he needs to rely on that a little bit more here on some of these on some of these drives, and also dunk the ball. Like he gets up and then he's like it's like he's undecided what he wants to do while he's in the air, and it's like, well, if you just went up to dunk it, you would have dunked the ball, no issue. That's something maybe he can work on. Just play with a little bit more explosiveness when he has a lane.
The other thing that he's done that is like, oh, his hands are so good on defense is like he doesn't give up in transition. Like if you just let him anywhere near the ball in transition, he's going to take a chance at trying to poke the ball away, and he's really good at it. Like he'll either cause a foul or he'll just get a clean deflection that just screws up the opposing ball handler. Like he doesn't give up on the play, and uh, it's so refreshing. I feel like there were years and years and years where if the Hawks had a guard back there and it wasn't a big, like transition defense was going to be a loss, but like he's just going to be another Hawk that can defend fast breaks, I think, and just buy time for the rest of the transition defense to get back. All right, let's talk about Zuby Ejiofor. Uh, he had a big game numbers wise, what did you see from him against Oklahoma City?
Um, Relentless effort, like and like you see why the Hawks drafted him at 23 over other guys. Like it's just the offensive rebounding pops, the screening popped. I think he was a much better screening in the second game than the first game. Uh, the willingness to take these open 3 pointers, it felt like he got more confident as the game went on, and the Hawks kept going to him in particular smartly because I think they were playing in Amara's hands in the first quarter, and then for the rest of the game they kind of locked in on what they need to do in order to beat the Thunder, and they completely dominated them after that. In large part because he was willing to take these 3 pointers, and defensively, like he's as good as advertised. Like true 1 through 5 switch defender. Um, the defensive rebound was a lot better than what we saw. I think even in college, like I thought he was really good on the defensive glass against the Thunder in this last game. So like he looked like to me, he looked like somebody it's going to be hard for Quinn to not play, if that makes sense. Whether it's at the 4 or the 5, I don't think it's going to matter. If he comes into camp and he's playing like this, I think Quinn's going to have a hard time keeping him off the floor. And so like that's going to be on Mo, Asa, even Landell to a certain extent, and even a Congo, honestly. Like I think he's put all these guys on notice because like this, we'll see. It's summer league, but like that Mara's a good player. Like, and I thought uh, Mara's had a good, okay summer league, but like Zuby completely took him out of the game. Like completely took him out of the game on both ends, and that speaks volumes to me. Like that, So like we'll see how he looks in Vegas. Again, Vegas should be uh, more consistent competition. I'll say though, the teams they play, like the Thunder, they didn't really have that much talent, but the Jazz had a lot of NBA talent on the floor. So it'll be interesting to see how they look against more NBA talented players. But it's hard to not be impressed by the package that Zuby's bringing to the table.
If you go up and down the Hawks rosters and look at the other bigs, like who do you think is a good complementary pairing for him?
I mean, I think all of them are like. I think that's what makes him kind of unique. I think he can play with all the bigs on the Hawks. Like, I don't think it particularly matters. Uh, you probably don't want to pair him next to Mo, honestly. But other than that, like I could see Quinn throwing him out there with Jock Landale. Like I can see that. and just, you know, really, really leaning into, all right, we're going to get some stops with the second unit here. Uh, and so, and then we're going to get offensive rebounds on the other side of the floor. So, like, you know, we'll see how much, because primarily because Landale, I think, is a much better shooter than what people realize. I think even next year, he's going to shoot way more than what he did the previous year, and I think you might be able. Like, I think what Zuby can do is bring what you wanted from Mo Gay on the offensive end, which is physical, consistent offensive play. He's going to finish these layups. He's going to make the right pass. You know, you don't have to worry about him, being in between actions. Like, he knows what he wants to do with the ball in his hands. He knows how to, operate in the in between game. He knows how to finish through contact in particular, just because he's the bigger player, more physical, stronger. And then he's going to be elite on the offensive glass. Like, I genuinely think he's going to be a problem for defenses, keeping him off the offensive glass. Like, he is just relentless at pursuing the ball, and like, I think that's going to be a problem for teams. So, I was really impressed with Zuby. I've been stunned by how impressed I've been with Zuby. Like, I I didn't know much about him in the pre-draft process. I liked what I saw when I watched some game tape of him, but like, this has been impressive. Like, the athleticism pops, the length, the physicality, the mentality as well. Like, he plays with a great mental focus on both ends of the floor. He had an interview, and they asked him, about being down 20. He like, I didn't know we were down 20. And I thought that, I mean, I think that says a lot to me, where it's like, he's not looking at the score, he's looking at the possession. He's just trying to win possession. Like, that is how you build a great basketball team, is when you stack a bunch of guys who care about winning every possession, because that's how you win consistently in today's NBA.
Yeah, you made a point at in some recent podcast where I think you were saying that, when it was like a Landale Mo Gay pairing, it was too easy for opponents to stick the five on Mo Gay and put a four on Jock Landale and then just try to have the five guarding Mo Gay, you know, protect the rim and be a help defender and things like that. If you take Mo Gay out of that situation and put in Zuby Ejiofor, you're going to be putting in a plus offensive rebounder. And so
Yeah.
now, if that center is trying to get over to the middle to be a help defender, you've got a very good offensive rebounder coming in behind to crash the glass. And that's going to be a problem. That's going to open up a lot of offensive rebound chances if you do that.
Yep. Yep. And just as important, he's going to make the right decision once he gets the offensive rebound. Uh, Again, he's been super impressive. I like I you know again, like I said, like, I think Darren Peterson was like the best player in the world against Memphis Grizzlies, like, full stop. And he did not look like that against Hawks. And like, that says a lot to me about both Kingston and Zuby, as a pairing. Like, I think those two in particular, like, defensively, have been it's hard not to be super impressed, just what they're able to do on both ends of the floor. Like, to get somebody with Mo's defense, but like, I don't know, someone who's kind of like a Congu, like, not as good, not as polished as a Congu is offensively as a scorer, but kind of does a lot of the same stuff that a Congu brings to the table. Um, that's a great find. And so, like, I think if he's I think he has a real opportunity more than anybody, more than honestly, even Asa. No, no, not to say Asa's been bad, but it's just defensively, it's just like, there's no competition between the two. And then when you're like, when you consider that the role that Asa is not going to be in on this Hawks team, I think that might be a deciding factor on who gets to play more come opening day in a couple months.
Say that last part again. I'm not
Like,
sure.
I think, because like, Asa, like, offensively, He's not going to have like for as good he is with the ball in his hands. He's just not going to have the ball in his hands on this Hawks team. He's not going to be in the Jalen Johnson role, even though I think he actually can do that to a certain extent. I just don't think the opportunity for him is going to be there unless there's
Okay.
injuries. So and I think what Zuby provides, the offensive rebounding that Zuby provides might be more valuable combined with the defense. Like Ace's defense has been okay to like somewhat. It's just been fine, but Zuby's been in, like Zuby. It's tough to score on him. Like it's just tough to score on him. It's tough to create an advantage against him. It's tough to do anything against him on defense. Like he might be a better defender today. He might be the him and Mo might be the best, defensive bigs that the Hawks have right now. Like he might already be better than Okongwu, uh, unless Okongwu's locking in fully on the defensive side of the floor. So, like I think it's gonna be. I think Quinn's gonna have a hard time keeping Zuby out of the rotation. If this is who he is, like it's been only been 2 games, but like hard not to be like 19 and 15, like in a 40-minute game, like that's against like real big, like a real big and Adon Mara, like that is super impressive.
Does it in any way change what you think that either you and or the Hawks might do as they approach what to do with uh, uh, uh,
Kaminga,
Kuminga? Yeah, just drew a total blank.
um, Kaminga's situation is pretty interesting. At a certain point, there's a number where it'd be pretty dumb to not have him back, but at the same time, I don't know if Kaminga wants to be back considering the role that's available to him. I think that's more the issue than even the money. Because I think actually the money's probably comparable, and he'd probably have already signed a deal with the Hawks if he was comfortable in the role that was available to him. But I just don't think the role is available. Like think I I think that for in the Hawks' perspective is like we'd rather have Asa be in a similar role to Kaminga has right now, making rookie scale contract money than having to pay him what he wants to be in the role that's there, which is probably like not even the sixth man. So I just think it's less about the Hawks wanting him back more than like the opportunity for Kaminga to be a starter on the Hawks just probably isn't there.
Anything else you want to add about Ace's first couple of games? It's kind of been a mixed bag, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's not like it's been bad.
Yeah,
That's the thing. It's been okay.
yeah.
Uh, but it's hard to not be disappointed somewhat in the defense, just because like the impact is just not there defensively. Uh, it's just not like it just feels like offensive players don't feel him. There's no other way to say that. Like offensive players don't feel him. You compare him to Zuby, it's not even close, night and day. Uh, or even Kingston. Like defend offensive players feel Kingston when he's guarding them. So I think that's kind of more the issue.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how he fares in Las Vegas. I'm really intrigued to see how he fares there. All right. Thank you for doing this. Good night, Bob.